to the podcast, the Post Boys Podcast. Join Gary and Ian talking movies.
The podcast today is we're going to reminisce about another movie we love called Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a movie that everyone should know about, don't you think, Ian?
Yes, I think a lot of people say it is one of the best films ever made, definitely one of the best action films ever made. It's got everything. It's absolutely got everything. It's got thrills, spills, love, comedy, a bit of horror. It's brilliant. It's almost a perfect film. Because the action does not stop once it starts, and you're never ever bored, really, at all. There's always something, and it makes sense. Some people would say, "Oh, it doesn't make sense," but no, it does. Everything makes logical sense, at least once you've seen it, and then
and I think, from my opinion, compared to the next two sequels, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade, I think this holds up better, because it looks more practical, whereas they introduced a bit more CGI in the next two.
Well, I must admit that I think the two together, Raiders and then Temple of Doom, I think those two together are probably the best ones. I wasn't a fan of Last Crusade because even by then it seemed as if they were using more models. But definitely, I think that's when it was at its peak between, well, obviously Raiders, and then people loved Raiders, went to see Temple of Doom, which was even bigger. And also that, the rope bridge, all that adventure. Well, less said about the. I think that was a missed opportunity with the fourth and the fifth ones.
Yeah, we won't delve too much into the latest ones, especially time travel. Yeah, I was going to do a weave.
Was it trilogies? Was it 80s Adventure? Was it?
Oh yeah. So in Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, there's a guy that plays like a British general that's at the is it Pancourt Palace?
Pancourt Palace.
And that's Grady from The Shining.
Yes. Also, is he not from? I was going to say Goldfinger. Is he from Goldfinger? Or he's certainly from a Bond film anyway. I think. Yeah. Well,
I know him from. I can't remember his name. He's the guy who plays Grady in The Shining, and he's also in Kubrick's Clockwork Orange as well.
What's his name? Is it General Bloombert or something like that?
Okay.
And that's, once again, well, see, that's why people love certainly Temple of Doom, because obviously it's got standout moments. It's got the banquet, and people say, that's terrible that not, having all these chilled monkey brains and eels and stuff like that. And people say, that's not a representation of, what people eat in India, but it's an adventure film, and it's like, And
what do you think of the juxtaposition of the female character, where you got Karen Allen, who's a pretty strong character, and then you got Kate Capshaw?
Kate Capshaw and Willie...
who's annoying.
Well, I have to disagree with you a little bit, Gary, because I recently saw, it was the uncut Temple of Doom. And if you've ever seen the uncut Temple of Doom, that is very dark. In actual fact, the slapstick or the Kate Capshaw character isn't as grating, because you're thankful for these bits of light relief. And that's the one where I remember when Temple of Doom came out in the UK, and they said, in America it was uncut, and there was a scene where Mola Ram actually pulls, his hand goes into somebody's chest, and there's when Indy's getting the blood forced into him to drink. That's a lot more menacing, and that's what you're actually thankful of. So it isn't quite as grating if you see the whole film, but because it was edited, it just seems like, although I don't think it's as bad. I've recently watched the Temple of Doom, and I don't think her role is as grating, but yeah.
But you're still a fan of Karen Allen?
Yes, Karen Allen. She was brilliant in Starman, and that's and as I say, she came back for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but it seemed almost like wasted a little bit. You know, once again, that's something that's got more CGI, and you think, oh, you know what? The only good thing about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is that end shot where they're not aliens. You know, George Lucas was quite adamant they weren't aliens; they were interdimensional beings. And it's when the spaceship takes off, leaves that crater, and that dam, that does look real. You know, when the dam or whatever breaks and all the water comes in and fills, that is unbelievable. That really, I've never seen CGI that actually looks that real. And they say that scene, maybe it's the lighting and everything when they're standing on the temple and looking down, that's unbelievable. You know?
I'll need to rewatch that for that scene at the end, so I know.
Yeah.
On my projector. Back to Raiders, okay.
Yeah, well, Raiders, it was George Lucas and is it Philip Kaufman? They came up with that idea in about the mid kind of 70s to have adventures of, as they called it, Indiana Smith. Obviously, George was then waylaid with Star Wars, and I think it was, I don't know, Philip Kaufman was going to do Star Trek, or it was a film version and stuff like that. But there was a wee bit of a delay. In the meantime, Steven Spielberg approached Cubby Broccoli to say, right, I've made this film, can I direct a James Bond film? And he was turned down twice. So I think George kind of consoled him and said, look, you know, forget about James Bond. I've got this character, this Indiana Smith. And I think between them, they kind of hammered out the kind of, Smith didn't sound good, but Jones did. They got, was it Lawrence Kasdan to then work on the script. And there's lots of influences from Clint Eastwood to obviously a bit of James Bond, because each film's a kind of an adventure. He's on a mission. Although there was a film, Secrets of the Incas with Charlton Heston, 1954. And if you've ever seen clips of that film, that Charlton Heston, he's got like a leather jacket, fedora, tan trousers, messenger bag, and he's got a gun. And a lot of people look at that film, Secrets of the Inca, and say that just looks like Indiana Jones, apart from the whip. But all these films at that time, all these kind of American serials, you take a bit from here, a bit from there, and everybody, you know, and then you mix it all together, you know, and you come up with.
I understand. Yeah, I remember that Charlton Heston movie, because I've seen pictures, and basically it is like basically Indiana Jones. So obviously Indiana Jones isn't exactly original kind of thing.
No, but as you say, that setting that kind of, there's a sweet spot, and must be sweet spot to do with the technology, that if you're going to have an adventure and you're going to be globetrotting, you want it 30s. Well, obviously you can't have it 40s because of the World War, but that kind of 30s, you know, and you know there is a sweet spot where, you know, you can go to places that are still exotic, and find secret temples and stuff like that, where modern day ones, you're beholden to either the technology, or it's like it would have already been found by now, and all that sort of stuff, you know.
Yeah, probably like the 1930s kind of hits a sweet spot, because it's only about 10 years or so after Carnarvon discovered King Tut's tomb, and just precursor to World War II. The Nazis are doing their thing, so they're everybody's favourite bad guy. But yeah, so that kind of hits a sweet spot. You could have Nazi bad guys. You've got a bit of mystery, archaeology, and kind of history and stuff there.
Well, that's the thing, because the Raiders is set in 1936, and then of course Temple of Doom's 35, and I think the Last Crusade, is it 38 or something like that? As I say, that they're running out of the 1930s before they hit the Second World War. So there's only so many.
Why didn't they do like a Benjamin Button and just keep on going back in time, and just use CGI to make him look a bit younger?
Well, what's contentious about Temple of Doom is supposed to be first. It's when Indiana Jones is in the first film, you know, when they're in the market bazaar and has this fantastic fight, and then you've got the swordsman and the crowd parts, and he takes his gun. But then you see there's in Temple of Doom, he meets two people and he reaches for his gun and it's not there. It's like, well, how can that be if that's supposed to happen before? You know, that's little bits like that.
It's a bit of a wink for the audience.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah. At the start of the movie, we've got this little intro where they kind of in the jungle. I think the indigenous people is a Jovitos or something.
Yeah.
And there's kind of very famous scene where Indy gets this gold kind of thingamajig, whatever it is, like a icon.
The idol.
And then he activates a lot of traps and gets chased by a giant rolling ball. Now, I'm going to just stop you there. I just want to show you something and bring back memories from yesteryear, Ian. So, yeah, I kind of grew up watching that one. You remember that?
Yes, yeah, the Terry's Chocolate Orange. See, I think that's why, I mean, Steven Spielberg couldn't make James Bond, so he makes this character who then becomes so iconic. And the thing that really hits home is the booby traps and stuff like that, as well as the ancient artifacts. And, people are fascinated by, looking at trying to find some temple, looking for booby traps or either looking for treasure or, avoiding, it's good. I mean, I think in the 80s, if you were lived anywhere near woods, there was probably two films that made you want to go out in the woods. One was, say, Rambo, and the second one was like Raiders of the Lost Ark to, try to swing across a stream or stuff like that, or.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the comments under that Terry's Chocolate Orange on YouTube. One person says, this was shown on Christmas Day 1984, while Raiders of the Lost Ark was first shown on UK TV. So there you go.
Well, that's the thing, because years ago, it used to be 5 years between a film. Because you'll see films like
Raiders was 81 or was
81. So unless it was just right on the edge, and now it's 3 years before like a film's at the cinema before it'll be on terrestrial TV, and then you'll see some of the films from the 1960s. You see like let's say Sound of Music. Sound of Music came out in 65, and it didn't reach the TV. Let's say say like 78 or something like that, and it's like, I wonder why all those years it took so long for films to be in the cinema, to then eventually make it onto television. I think the record, there's a British world record for the most people who've ever watched a film, and that's with Live and Let Die. I think there was over about 20 million when that was first shown in, I don't know, say like, strangely enough, say like 1981 or something like that. Crazy,
Yeah, I think I remember watching that, sitting around the fire watching James Bond with my dad. So it brings back nostalgia. So to start off, and we've got that infamous scene. Now there's a kind of cameo by an actor called Alfred Molina.
Yes,
British. And he became quite a well-known actor later on as well.
Yes, of course, he was in Spider-Man as Doc Ock. And also he played, who did he also play? He played Tony Hancock in a TV movie, And just before we delve into that, of course, famously, Tom Selleck was auditioned for that. And, I don't know how close, or certainly he was, into the final pick before obviously the Magnum got picked up again, and he couldn't, a bit like Pierce Brosnan and Remington Steele and James Bond. And although if you watch that screen test that he did, he has that kind of air, that indie air, so it wasn't too far of a stretch,
Yeah, that I think there was I think Spielberg he didn't want to, or who was it? Somebody didn't want to use Harrison Ford again.
Yes.
But then they decided to go with him, and then the rest is history kind of thing.
Well, that's the thing, and that has then an effect.
It'd be George Lucas then, would it? So
yeah. And also that has a knock-on effect with Blade Runner, because originally Deckard was going to wear a fedora in Blade Runner, but because of Indiana Jones, that wasn't going to happen. And now you can't imagine the character Deckard in Blade Runner having a fedora hat, because obviously they wanted it to be a bit like a like a Mickey Spillane, that kind of a private eye kind of.
Yeah, he didn't have any. I mean, I think it was what's the character's name? Had the hat, the little origami guy, James Edwards.
Oh yes,
James Almost Edwards. Or
yes,
what his name is. What was his name in that?
Oh yes. So that's exactly. They probably ended up giving him the hat.
Yeah, he had the hat and the fancy costume, but
the suits,
But Decca just had a short haircut, basically, did he? So,
yes, yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, just that style. But anyway, sorry, back to the Alfred Molina.
Yeah, you got some notes from...
No, it's, as you say, that it was I thought actually you were going to mention at the start when the Paramount logo...
Oh, with the mountain, so I know.
Yes, it goes into the mountain, and then in Temple of Doom it becomes the symbol in the Obi-Wan club. And then, of course, it's another rock formation in Temple of... Last Crusade. And then it's a gopher hill, which isn't the best in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And I think they don't even do it in Dial of Destiny at all. Which I mean, even if Paramount wasn't producing it, you still just, have a scene with the hill or something,
Probably because Spielberg didn't direct the last one. I think it was James Mangold.
Yes, James Mangold.
Yeah. So then you had that famous intro, and then he escapes. We first see this character called Belloc.
Belloc, yes.
Played by
Paul Freeman, who I think he'd made his, if I remember myself, he made his first film. I mean, he'd been working in television, but his first film role was in, say, 1977, about something to do with, artificial insemination. But his big break came in 1980 with A Long Good Friday. So I think that's where, but also he was in television. So I think it's probably between The Long Good Friday and parts in television that he got his big break.
Yeah, Long Good Friday. Was he the guy that gets killed and Bob Hoskins goes on? He's like a Raspberry Ripple or something. Or was that a different character?
I'm not too sure.
Did he get killed in that? I think he does get killed at the start or something.
Yeah, I was thinking that's not the guy who's Pierce Brosnan's in the shower, and I can't remember. Yeah,
there was something like that. Well, I remember. He was in it at the start, but I'm pretty sure he got killed off near the beginning. So I know, but I don't know if he's the Raspberry Ripple guy. Remember?
Yeah. There's going to be an interruption. That's it.
But then I remember him from a movie kind of at the same time. With Christopher Walken called Dogs of War.
Yeah, you're right. I think he may have been seen in the Dogs of War, because I don't know if he played a French person, because if you look at after Belloc, I think he plays a foreigner in was it Falcon Crest, and then he plays another French person in, I don't know, Murder She Wrote or something like that, and it's I
just remember when they're having the drinking contest with Karen Allen. What's the character's name again?
Marion
Ravenwood. Yeah, he kind of lets his French accent slip a little. Does he? Do you remember? Did you pick up on that? Yeah.
I actually thought you were going to say about the one for the drinking contest in Nepal, when you can hear people shouting "Come on!" and in the background is
that drinking contest. I've watched Raiders so many times. Is that a man or a woman that she's drinking against?
Oh, it's a man. It's a guy. It's an actor who. I don't know if he's in EastEnders. He's got like a puffy face. No, he's definitely
All right, okay. Because I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Oh no, you know what it is? You're probably too focused on. There's a woman standing behind, and her facial expression saying, "He's going."
And then after he gets away. He makes a quick getaway in a plane. We find out that Indiana Jones' one weakness is snakes.
His one weakness is snakes. And the pilot, to this day, I still don't know his name, because some people say it's Jock and other people say it's Jacques, and it's like you can't seem to pin down, well, what is this, the pilot's name, because he sounds like Indiana Jones is saying Jacques. But then I think on the titles it's Jock, it's all these little things. But then he flies off, and then you think, oh, your heart's still racing, and then you're going into academia. Then you see, oh, he's a teacher, and then you're calmed down again. And you think, oh, I'm invested. What this character is, give me more of it.
Yeah, and that's the only time you see that character. He doesn't make another appearance in the film.
No, once again, there's a thing in what do you call it? Screenwriting or filmmaking, they call it the refrigerator moment. And what that means is you watch a film and it makes total and utter sense. As you're watching it, makes logical sense. It's not till you get home and then you open the fridge and you go, wait a minute, how did he? I think one of the most famous ones was it Silence of the Lambs, when he's got his face and he's in the lift, and people are saying, "Well, wait a minute, how did that?" But as you say, there's lots of stuff like characters that are not mentioned again, but you don't miss it. It makes total and utter logical sense. I know we're jumping ahead a bit, but when Indy and Marion are thrown into the well of the souls, it's like, well, you feel like saying, well, could they not just go back, wait half an hour, go back and just lift the lid and get them out? But then you don't. But then you don't. You don't give it too much thought, because it's like, well, it's the film and you're just up and running. There's no point dissecting stuff like that.
Yeah, and then so basically he goes back to his day job as being like a teacher.
Yes, yeah. Well, obviously he's a professor in archaeology.
But he's obviously he's got a lot of admirers in his class.
Yes, yeah.
Obviously, he's no Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. So basically, then they get a meeting with a couple of government guys, I believe.
Yes, government guys, and then you have obviously Denham Elliott as Marcus Brody, and it's his acting that sells when they're talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Ark of the Covenant, and they're talking about the power, and it's Denham Elliott that really sells it to say, look, this, we don't know this power, and it's like, oh yeah, this is serious. Before you just think it's a joke and let's say a romp, but then no, it's like, no, this is serious. And obviously John Williams, that kind of the Covenant theme comes in, you think, oh yeah, this is serious as well.
Yeah, that's my personal favourite John Williams signature theme, sort of, the kind of Ark of the Covenant theme, sort of, I know.
Yes.
And he did a little homage to that in Last Crusade.
Yes.
When there was a little kind of Easter egg in there as well.
That's brilliant, because when they're in the catacombs and they're searching and they're looking at stuff on the wall, and then the Indiana Jones flashes up, he says, what's that? And she says, Alison Doody character, what's that? Ark of the Covenant. I said, are you sure? Yeah, pretty sure. And you know what? I was thinking about the last film, and I was thinking, how you could have changed it. And what I would have changed it was, Indy, saves the day, and then they ask him, could the government do anything to help him? And I would have had it with the Ark of the Covenant ended up in a museum. After all those years, it's actually finally made its way to a museum. It's sitting there, but it'll have like a label that was said, not the real one. And Indy comes in, takes the label, tears it off, and just walks off into the sunset. Because that's exactly what he said at the start. It should belong to the museum. Yeah.
So we'll get a little bit of kind of history, archaeological history, backstory about the Ark of the Covenant. There's this kind of like the style of this book. It looks like kind of like the Necronomicon crossed with like a 2,000-year-old Filofax kind of thing. Is that something?
I think that's what fired the audience's imagination, or certainly young people, into wanting to then go to the library and want to find books and want to think, oh wow, if I go rummaging around the basement, am I going to find an entry to a temple or stuff like that? And it's that mix of the real and then this kind of supernatural, but also the historical fact, and also you've got the Second World War aspect of it, which they hit on a great idea, because obviously that's exactly what the Nazis were looking for, artifacts, and whether it was the Spear of Destiny and bits and pieces, to prove that superior or some sort of occult power or something.
Yeah, this is actually true, by the way. The Nazis were really into this occult stuff and finding religious archaeological kind of artifacts and things like the Spear of Destiny. So this isn't outside the norm kind of thing. This is pretty much what they did.
Well, that's exactly so. That George Lucas and Philip Kaufman, they just came up with an idea. Say, well, wait a minute, they were looking for this. What's the next logical step? The Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, it's like probably Hitler thought if he had the spear of the real Spear of Destiny, he would be all powerful, and probably people like a religion would follow him, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think they believed in all that, the Teutonic Knights and all this sort of stuff, and if you could find proof of some Aryan, exactly, some sort of, but basically, I suppose European version of what you'd have in Britain would be like the Knights of the Round Table. That if you could find like a European Knights of the Round Table to show your purity or whatever it was.
Yeah, and Hitler and his Nazi were big into like the Atlantis theory and mythology and stuff as well.
They sent people looking for Atlantis, and of course, was it for a long time? No, that's a fact. I think there was a computer game, an Indiana Jones computer game, and for a long time, people were thinking there was going to be. I don't know whether they registered the name. It was like Indiana Jones and the Legend of Atlantis, and people were talking about that being a fourth film, and that was going to turn it. But I suppose it's a bit like Die Hard, when they had the first Die Hard, and they thought, right, where's the next one? We'll have it on a boat, but then they couldn't do that because they had like what do you call it? Speed 2 and all this sort of stuff came, and it's right. Oh no, sorry, not Speed 2, Under Siege. Although I still would have had Die Hard on a boat, but it's all these things that come along and you think, oh no, we can't touch those ideas.
And I always thought the second Speed movie should be called No Speed 2 because it doesn't go very fast, does it?
No, that's the thing.
I mean, like the whole. I was watching like a documentary about the whole Atlantis mythology, and there's a bit of kind of this racism involved because what they're trying to say is the indigenous people in that area weren't smart enough to build these magnificent structures or pyramids, so it must be some sort of super master race that preceded civilization.
Yes, yeah.
Basically. And that kind of fits in with this Aryan super race then.
Well, that's the thing. And then that ties into their eugenics, because, they're comparing skulls from different races and then assuming about intelligence and all that sort of stuff. And I think that was one of the reasons for Steven Spielberg. I think after he made The Last Crusade, he said he couldn't make a film with the Nazis anymore because, he never treated them as comedy characters, but he then went on to make Schindler's List and all that sort of stuff. And he said you couldn't do that. You couldn't, I suppose, treat them other than as horrible individuals. You couldn't have them as just I don't even say they weren't cartoon baddies, but treating them that way. Once you start going really looking into it and delving into it, you think, no, I can't have them chasing Indiana Jones anymore. That was one of the ideas. But yeah.
Yeah, what was that 60s sitcom about? They're in a POW camp and
Hogan's Hero.
Hogan's Heroes, yeah. And the Nazis are this big lovable people, sort of. I know, which is kind of washing the racism out there, sort of. I know, is it?
Yeah.
So basically, what we were in the film. So basically, he's on he got for the plane to get met by a couple of government people. They explain the story. So Professor Ravenwood is working with the Nazis, and then obviously Dana Mellett's saying no, Ravenwood's no Nazi.
Yeah.
So I know, and so basically they go back and there's a scene in the movie, and I never noticed this at the time, but somebody told me that they did this scene in one take.
All right.
And it's the scene where Damon Elliott and Harrison Ford are parking and they're talking while they're parking.
Yeah.
You watch that scene, there's not one cut in that scene. It's remarkable, so I know.
Well, and once again, that scene again, I know that they almost they kind of echo it again in the Last Crusade with Dana Mellick kind of giving a warning, a bit like Phoebe's chat in the Gremlins when she talks about her dad, and then in Gremlins 2 she does a similar thing which then takes away the power. But Dana Mellick, when he's saying about, look, hey, be careful, we don't know what you're dealing with, and then when he puts the gun and then the whip. Now we wouldn't talk about the whip that you totally accept, you totally buy that, Indiana Jones, he's got a gun and he's got a whip. You don't think anything strange because it's all down to the style and the design of the whip. You think, that all makes sense. I don't think that, any other, maybe a different style of whip, you think, oh no, but no, you buy it. You absolutely buy it. And because you see it used, he's used it to take the gun out the guy's hand at the start and then you use it to get over. You think, yeah, of course you'd have a whip. Once again, it's a film, nobody ever thinks, well, wait a minute, nowadays you would say you would have the adventures of Marcus Brody, because he said, well, after 5 years, so I would have went after it himself. But then I think that's a good thing that these ideas, these breadcrumbs are left, and then they're not. Nowadays you would say, all right, let's go and see what Marcus was doing. It's just no, they're just left. Let them breathe. Let the audience think for themselves, come up with adventures for themselves without having been, I suppose, spoon fed.
So basically, he goes off. He gets a plane.
Yes.
Now there's a shady character in the background on the plane, but it's not.
Yes, I think people think that is the Ronald Lacey character, but it's a different. But it's because the glasses look the same, and that's what now. Whether that's coincidence or whether they couldn't get Ronald Lacey and thought, well, can we have somebody that kind of looks so it looks. That's how they find it. I don't know. I have no idea.
I know the answer. Ronald Lacey wasn't available. But they wanted to put in that shot.
Right.
So the effects guy, Dennis Muren,
yes, yeah,
he kind of looks a bit like Ronald Lacey if he puts his glasses on and then he kind of peers over a newspaper. So he was substituted to go in there. So yes, that is meant to be.
Is that Thoth or
Taurus or something? Yeah, that's meant to be the same character, but it's not it's not the same actor basically because Dennis Muren, the effects guy, stood in for that one scene there.
But the thing is, it doesn't. Obviously, it doesn't make a difference because you know that there's shady Gestapo characters anyway. So yeah, it doesn't distract from it, and you just assume, yeah, right.
But we're judging the film from the context of watching it multiple times.
Yes, yeah.
We haven't been introduced to that character yet in the movie. So
we don't know. Yeah, we don't know. So that's probably for one. But then that would make his entrance in the next kind of scene. It doesn't distract from it. Because Indiana Jones has said, the Nazis are after it, and that's all you need to know. So when they appear, you just accept it. They say, So basically, one of the iconic parts of Indiana Jones is the travel map where the red line goes. Which, as I say, that they've had since the movies. Obviously this is a throwback to like the 1930s adventure thing where it was easier to show. Although in the later films, I don't think it's used as much.
But kind of just gets from one point to another quickly without wasting any time and stuff, Yeah,
as I say, it just cracks on, on, and the story cracks on. You think it can't get any more exciting or fast paced, but no, there's always something new. And each scene, that's the thing, it's almost like classic scene after classic scene. And you think, well, how can you top this? And it's like, no, here we go,
So where did they go? Nepal or something? Nepal
to see. That's where obviously they have. Marion now has her bar,
Yeah, she's like a functioning alcoholic by the looks of it.
Well, that's once again, you just buy it. You just buy that. Yeah, she's running a pub in Nepal. You don't think, well, why or that's
So we get introduced from Marion, and she has a drinking contest down in these shots, and she wins. And this is a bit of foreshadowing because she kind of uses this later on in the movie as well. So that's her big superpower. She could drink men under the table.
Yeah, and of course nowadays there's certain lines in the film that people I think sometimes read or take them at face value, and it's more of a subjective. When obviously Marion and Indiana Jones had a relationship when they were younger. And then she says, I was a child, and I think she doesn't mean that. She just means she was younger than Indiana Jones, who was a few years younger. But nowadays, people, obviously people are hypersensitive to certain things, and it's like, that was, you took advantage of it. Well, no, she was, people read too much into it.
Yeah. You get a lot of reaction videos with younger people nowadays on YouTube, and they always seem to pick up on that moment you just described. But look, my sister calls me a child all the time, and I'm in my 50s.
Well, once again, it's down to semantics, although it doesn't help that I think, did I read somewhere that one idea was, the background story was Indiana Jones had met her when she was 11, and Steven Spielberg says, "Nah, that's not going to happen. No, that's no. No, so it's figuratively saying, you're a child and stuff like that. Not, she was inexperienced, but that doesn't mean she was, anything illegal or anything like that,
Well, Karen Allen kind of looks like she's about 30 there or something. I don't know what her actual age was, but she kind of looks about 30.
Well, yeah, because she was in Animal House, wasn't she?
She was in kind of, was it one of these kind of The Wanderers or some of these type of, I remember there was like these 50s gang type movies.
Yes,
Was it the
Wanderers or the Summer of 40? No, not Summer.
There was one of these, there was two in that time.
There was the Wanderers, was it?
Was it the one with Ken Wall?
Could be.
What was the one with Ken Wall? I think that's The Wanderers, was it? So I don't know. But I think she was in one of them. But that's when they have like a big fight on the football pitch or something. And then there's one of them's got this father. He's basically just like a bodybuilder, just beating people up, sort of. I know. And when he finds out there's a big fight going on in the football pitch, he goes over there and just starts beating the shit out of everybody, sort of. I know. I just remember that. But I think she was in one of these type of movies. These kind of 50s retro throwback kind of type movies. But that was the first thing I seen her in. So we get introduced, and now there's a iconic scene again where Indiana Jones comes in, but you don't see him. You see his shadow in the wall, kind of lighted with the fire. It looks. I mean, the cinematography in this. I mean, Douglas Slocum, brilliant.
As I say, Douglas Slocum. As I say, if you look at the other stuff he did, even the lesser known stuff, it still looks fantastic. That's it.
Yeah, I was watching a movie, probably 1960 something Hammer movie. Douglas Slocum did that, and I mean, it just looks like $1 million, even though it's like a low budget kind of British produced movie. I can't remember what it was. Was it The Snorkel or was it something else? It was one of these type of movies, either The Snorkel or it was Taste of Fear, one of these type of movies or something.
All right, because they were black and white.
When after Psycho came out, then Hammer tried to cash in by doing these psychological thrillers, and you did them in black and white, so you weren't getting the glossy Hammer colour.
There was one. What was it? Was it called Maniac? About a guy.
Maniac, yeah.
That one with like he was working in a garage with like a blowtorch or something like that. And
there was the Nanny, was it? Or was it?
Betty Davis. Yeah, that was a wee bit late. That was that 65? And I think The Snorkel was it. Although that Snorkel, that just gives you the fear because he's trapped underneath the move. Was it a wardrobe? And he's trapped underneath the thing, and he can't get the thing up. The door to the trap door because he's horrible. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that.
But if you ever get a chance, Taste of Fear, you can get it on YouTube. It's free. Just Taste of. I don't want the taste of fear. Doesn't sound very appetizing, but it's really good. It's kind of it almost feels like a Euro thriller.
Yes,
like a Clouseau kind of thing, and it's even got like a cameo with Christopher Lee in it as well.
Right, yeah.
I won't say much if you haven't seen it. It's got one of the great endings that basically, if you like Gerard Butler kicking persons down wells and stuff, you're gonna love the ending of this. But Taste of Fear, everyone. It's a great little movie you can watch free on YouTube. So we're introduced with Indiana Jones, and obviously she's not particularly enamoured to see him.
No.
Basically, he wants that medallion, or like the staff.
The staff of Ra, but she says no, it's lost. I don't know, it's gone. Or
yeah, but she wears it around the neck, and this thing must weigh a fucking ton because it's massive, is it? So
it's a bit,
yeah. So obviously, she kind of plays hard to get, and she sends Indiana Jones on his way, and then we get like an introduction to Ronald Lacey's character. I think it's Tor, is it?
Yes.
Tor.
Yeah.
Now he's a despicable Nazi, really despicable Nazi, and obviously he tries to interrogate her and burn her, and obviously Indiana Jones comes back and just at the nick of time.
Yes.
And there's quite a violent. This whole scene is quite violent. There's some blood and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood, and also that's the first time when you start to hear those real, that kind of You know, I suppose you hear it more when he's in the truck and he's, you know, getting punched. But it's those shots and also those punches. The sound effects are really, as I say, quite visceral. And you know, when the guy's shot in the head and the blood's coming down or coming out his mouth or stuff like that, yeah, it is. It's pretty full on. You know? Yeah,
and there's a really great comical scene where in the whole stramash, as we say in Scotland. The medallion is lying on the floor in the fire.
In the fire, obviously covered with the alcohol, and it's like, yeah.
And obviously, seeing his prize in his grasp, Thor just makes a grab for it, not realising the thing is going to burn his hand.
But then it's one of those things where, I don't know whether or not, because we've seen it so many times, it's not comedic at all. You totally buy that, you know, the way it's played is burnt. You don't think, oh, that's fine. You know, you know how sometimes, you know, like, yeah, I certainly, I've watched it and I've never thought it was a comedic thing. Obviously the bit he's singing his hand, but it's only enough, you know, it's not overplayed and it's not, you think, oh, this is comedy, you know.
The bit where he goes flying out the door and he sticks his hand in the snow. And it's well, it's like, I mean, like if I stub my toe and then I started jumping about, I mean, yeah, I'm not being funny, but you probably think it's funny.
no, but then depends how much you're jumping. You know, like, you know, I think the audience will buy if you've burnt your hand, and then you're doing that. But if it's depends how it's played. That if it's a very fine line between oh no that's overacting and no that's just within the limits of, you know, the film.
I don't think it's overacting, but I think there's a bit of comedy there. So
yeah. Well, that's down to the editor and the sound effects.
He's no Mr. Joshua from Lethal Weapon, is he?
No.
So basically that so they make a deal. They go off together to Cairo.
To Cairo and meet Salah or the John Rhys Davies.
Yeah.
Which I was. Well, the thing, who's a great British actor. He's Welsh. And I always think that scene where, you know, if you're of a mind, you think, well, Indiana Jones is treating Salah horrible because he's just laughing at him because he can't pronounce Belloc, and he goes Belosh, and he goes, and he just goes into his face and knows Belloc is Belloc, you know. But you buy into it, you know. Yeah,
I just think you probably just got the name wrong because probably wasn't that familiar with him. But obviously he's an old adversary of. Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but also he's Egyptian. He's not used to, you know, like
But obviously the fact that they could share a joke like that, obviously that builds that friendship's gone back a lot of years, kind of.
Yeah,
you know.
But as I say, John Rhys, he just plays it, you know, straight, you know. Although exactly, there's some scenes that you like say buy into. It's like when they open the Well of the Souls and the lightning flashes on the kind of the jackal's face. And he goes, whoa, and he puts the finger. And it's like, you might think that's overacted, but you buy it. It just seems real. You know, it's not like you think, oh, that's overacting. You just think, you know.
Like John Rhys Davies is one of these character actors that could just morph into any role. So like you can play different characters and, dare I say it, like different races and stuff and get away with it kind of thing.
Yeah, I think a bit like, say, let's think... yeah, say like Christopher Lee. If you are of a certain heritage, you know, that you can pass for different, and you don't give it a second thought.
Christopher Lee's basically Italian. Yes. He's got Italian blood in his, so I know.
Yeah, so he's played, you know, I mean, you can, but then he can play different characters without, you know, having to put any, you know, let's just call it for it is, like blacking up, you know, and stuff like that. Although he did play the president of Pakistan. But apart from that, yeah.
Who's it? Fu Manchu as well?
No, that was.
What was he in?
He was in Fu Manchu, which I don't know. I think they put something on over his eyes, but I don't think he had makeup.
It can't be worse than Sean Connery in You Only Live Twice.
Oh yes, Japanese.
that disguise didn't fool anybody. So
no.
So that John Rhys Davies, I was going to say something. I was going to go off and.
It's strange that John Rhys Davies then appears in. We can talk about this later on, but he appears in Firewalker, which is like another rip-off, and of Indiana Jones, and also King Solomon's Mines as well, which is like
a bit typecast. And he was also in another movie. I remember there was a movie in the mid '80s. Had a great cover. It was from Guild Home Video. It was called in the shadow of Mount Kilimanjaro.
All right.
And it was about a load of killer baboons or monkeys going on the rampage.
Yeah.
And he was in that as well. So there you go.
Although, what's that film? It's got Susanna York and Stanley Baker in it. And it's about the crash land in a desert, and there's a guy at the end. He's kind of living with baboons, and he eventually has to fight them, and the baboons get him.
Crash Land in the Desert. Is that the one with? I can't remember. Is that the one with Ian Bannon in it as well?
No, that's Flight of the Phoenix. But
okay.
The guy who was the main American actor, he was in Magnificent Men in the Flying Machine. He was playing the cowboy guy, and there's a great one where, as I say, he's left in the desert. Everybody gets rescued, and he doesn't want to get rescued, so he's living with the apes. But eventually, he gets kind of injured, and the apes, these baboons, eventually come in, and it's from like about 67 or something like that. You know,
Have a look out for that one.
Yeah.
So where are we in the movie? So basically,
he's we're in Cairo, and then there's obviously you've got the Nazi monkey, and then that's when they're in the bazaar, and they're obviously Marion gets kind of kidnapped, and we'll have this fight scene, which is pure Spielberg. That idea of Indiana Jones is running, and you get a close up with the eyes, and you know that Marion's been put in a basket, and then all of a sudden, typical Spielberg, there's a whole bazaar full of baskets and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that is a bit kind of slapsticky, kind of the bit where
the oranges, when the guy puts them through with a sword, and he's got the oranges at the back, and he pulls the sword, and the oranges come out.
And the bit where the guy with bad dentistry chases Marion into this doorway.
Oh yeah,
and then he gets conked with a frying pan.
Yeah,
and then the next minute you see his body gets moved in to the doorway, sort of, and dragged in, sort of.
Yeah,
it was quite good. So and then the infamous scene where the guy's showing off his sword skills.
And judging by all accounts, that they had choreographed a fight scene, and that obviously the famous story goes that whether it was just the heat or a wee bit of illness, they kind of cut short that shooting, and somebody suggested, well, how about rather than the fight scene, I just shoot them. And as I say, I remember even as a kid, in the audience just erupted, because obviously you've seen all the, and I'm sure there's probably to this day people who still misremember it, thinking, oh yeah, you did have a fight scene. So, no, there wasn't a fight scene. But everything that's preceded it, you think, all right, here's the big fight scene, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, the story I heard was it was actually Harrison Ford was ill. I think a lot of people were ill on the shoot, with like food poisoning and stuff. Yeah. And he had a bad case of food poisoning, and he just wanted to get the scene over and done with. So he said, why not just like shoot the bastard or something?
but the thing is, now that has become so commonplace to undercut. But it makes sense because you can see Indiana Jones can fight, he can handle himself, and that there's no reason why you couldn't handle this guy. But he just thought, what?
Yeah, but there was time. There was pressing. I need to get Marion, so I didn't have time to like fuck around or anything.
Well, that's
yeah. So basically, at the end of this, Marion.
Yeah, she's then put into a truck, and then the truck is obviously Indy shoots the driver, and then that's one of the famous ones before the clip. I think one of the early ones to say, "Oh look, you can see the plunger in the back of the truck, to push to tip it over almost, like people say, oh, I can see somebody wearing jeans and Gladiator, and the truck, they must have had a hydraulic press to put the truck over, which you can still see, which you don't, you don't bother that. It doesn't.
I mean, if you're just enjoying the movie.
Well, see, that's the thing, you don't.
You're not meant to, I mean, you go into pictures to see the movie.
Yeah.
When they were making this movie, the people didn't realise they're going to be watching on high definition discs and watching it over and over and over and over in minute detail.
Well, that's the thing, Gary. If you watch, there was you'll remember when they used to make documentaries of the making of the films. They did it with all three Star Wars, and then did it with Raiders of the Lost Ark. And you see them going in Cairo, taking down all the TV antenna from the rooftops, and that they say there's no CGI there. That's, you have to physically go and say, right, can we take your TV antenna?
Yeah. So basically, we think Marion's, at that moment, we're sure Marion's been blown up.
Yes, and he's Indy's drowning in sorrows, and then that's when he meets Belloc. Comes in.
Indiana Jones was just a way to confront Belloc, and then he gets surrounded by a load of guns. It looks like the whole cafe is just full of Nazi sympathisers and stuff.
Yes, yeah. And I remember that scene from the trailer from the TV advert, because it's, as a kid, I remember it's a Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it was always that scene when Belloc would say, "It is a transmitter. It is a radio for speaking to God." And back those days, all you saw, trailers on the TV would be, you saw a bit of sand and Indiana Jones and adventure, and you didn't realise what he was talking about when it was, I didn't know whether it was set now or set in the past, But because that's the line I remember from the TV trailer,
Yeah, and so he gets bailed out by a load of kids. I believe it's Salah's kids.
Yes, and they go and see the mystic, don't they? About the.
This is a weird bit. Is it the mystic bit? So,
well, I think the mystic will see how tall the staff for the headpiece for the staff of Ra, and he goes in there, and of course, the Nazis they've only got the burnt version on Ron Lacey's.
Yeah, we don't know that yet, but we know that they've got part of the information from the staff.
Yeah,
obviously from Thor's hand, because it's imprinted on his bloody palm.
But then as I say, the mystic says, "Oh no, there's something on the back."
Well, it's like take off this and that.
Yes, take off this and that. And also, I think, if memory serves me well, there was a scene, the same scene. That's when the mystic says, "If it ever gets open, keep your eyes shut," which then.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, but then that scene was kind of, part of that scene was cut. So, but then it doesn't, you assume that Indiana Jones is a knowledgeable person. So, but when they're at the stake and the Ark of the Covenant's been opened, you just assume that he knows to say, no, keep your eyes shut. But it was actually the mystic guy who told him, no, you must keep your eyes shut. But I say it doesn't. You don't.
They probably just trimmed little bits here and there for pacing and stuff. Just keep it moving.
And of course, it's the famous bad dates. Dates.
Yeah, this is where we haven't really talked about the monkey, but our last podcast there was a monkey in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and we've got a monkey here. But this monkey is quite a character. Obviously, he's doing his Elon Musk impersonation.
But there's this scene where the guy, obviously he's got the tash and he's got the eye patch and he's got the monkey. But what I like is when the kind of Gestapo guys, the informant, the guy with the eye patch, says hi, Heil Hitler, this, and you see the Gestapo guys are in kind of half two minds when the monkey does it. It's like, oh yeah.
Just muscle memory.
So, you must remember to think, well, do we salute the monkey? Yeah.
Don't disrespect the monkey, man.
No.
So so unfortunately, this monkey just kind of goes back and forth. Nobody seems to be bothered that this monkey disappears out of nowhere. Everybody has the monkey, then he goes back and he goes there and he goes back and forth. He just switches sides, kind of thing.
But then but the thing is, it's you know how there's some films that once you start to pick at it, you think, oh yeah, and you can never watch it the same again. But you can pick out Raiders of the Lost Ark and say, well, the monkey, and it's like it doesn't make any difference. It's almost, the film's almost bulletproof in a good way. You know how there's some films that are bulletproof in a bad way, but this is bulletproof, and you can pick it apart to say, well, wait a minute, the monkey is, nobody's, and it's like, it doesn't matter. It's, you're just, you bought into the film, you're bought into these characters. You're just, you're there for the ride. Mm-hmm.
So obviously the iPad spy guy didn't let the monkey in on the joke that the dates were poison. So I know.
Well, that's the thing. Well, obviously he must assume that. Whether it's the same, if it's the same eye patch guy who's poisoned the dates, or not, it's just like people are after them,
So unfortunately, the monkey's sacrificed to give us a heads up that the dates have been poisoned,
and also just to say, look, this is still, people are after you. You need to, I suppose it's like that, that thing about like the ticking clock. you know, like, okay, you know, people are still after you, you know, let's go and, you know, find the map room and, you know.
So after that, trying to regain my thoughts. So the monkey dies. Marion is dead, we believe.
Yes.
And what happens next then?
I think it is then into looking for the map room, trying to get into, you know, the dig.
Okay. So this is where he disguised himself as a kind of Arab or something. He's got the thing, the head thing. What's the correct terminology for that?
Just a headscarf. Yeah, yeah. It's not a turban. It's just there to, you know, protect the sun.
Yeah, like what the Bedouins.
Yes, Bedouins. Yeah.
And basically, he's kind of rummaging about. Nazis are kind of cracking jokes and thinking he's some kind of help or slave sort of thing.
Yeah, he goes, water, I will get you water, you know. Yeah.
And then he goes into a tent, and miraculously, Marion is tied up in the tent.
Yeah.
So he rushes to save her, and then he has a second thought.
Oh, no, I can't.
He kind of thinks, well, I can't save her because it'll give the game away.
Yeah.
So he kind of gags her, re-gags her, and says, I'll come back for you later, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but his focus is on obviously using the correct size staff with the headpiece and going down to the map room. Is it?
Yes, yeah, going into the map room because they've got a rope and they go down the map room, and now that he's, as I say, he's which once again, it's that thing as a kid seeing these, you know, it's not just finding the temple, it's finding like a map, you know, so you need to know exactly where you're going to dig, and as I say, all these things, you know, fueled the excitement and the imagination to think, you know, what you know, I want to look into archaeology, you know, I want to see if I can find, you know, because let's say there's nothing really locally around here. There's nothing, you know, it's you know, it'd be like an old earth house, but there's no booby traps in an old earth house. There's unfortunately. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Picts didn't really build things to last, did they?
No. There's not. I mean, you could go to you could go to Scarabray or something like that. But I know somebody had talked about. There was a film called The Stone of Destiny, which was about the coronation stone that was stolen in the 50s. And I remember somebody had talked about when they were talking about setting Indiana Jones in the 50s. And they thought, well, wait a minute, you could have tied that together. You could have had Indiana Jones and the Stone of Destiny, that he was over in here, whether it was scattering his father's ashes, and somehow, you know, have a Pictic, Celtic adventure for the fourth film. And that would tie in and all that sort of stuff. But obviously, it wasn't to be, you know?
Oh, God. Yeah, that would be quite interesting.
Yeah, obviously it's a different approach because there's only so many jungles. I mean, what you want is each film to have its own distinct feel. But then I think, as I say, Last Crusade feels a bit too much like Raiders because it's a desert. Okay, it's a different desert. It's like where is it? What desert is it again? Is it Jordan? Something like that? No, kind of North Africa. Well, I suppose further from, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're like Petra is.
But yeah, Petra is around there. Yeah, and I think maybe that's why people thought, well, it actually it doesn't feel distinctive enough. You know, it's a great story, but obviously, you know, you're limited. If it's a Holy Grail, it has to be in a desert. And you thought, well, wait a minute, we've had a kind of, you know, we've had the desert in Raiders, and you know, we've had obviously the kind of jungle in India. It's like, you know, but you know, that's it. You know, there's only so many places that you can have an ancient, you know, temples and stuff like that. You know, it's either going to be Africa or South America. That's really all it is. You know, unless you're going some other place in maybe in China or stuff like that.
Yeah. So basically, so he goes off and leaves Marion, and this is the next part, the map room. This is a lot of people's favourite part.
Yes.
And even just the music. Brilliant music.
Yeah, and it's, as I say, John Williams, when he's on fire, there's nobody better. You know, I'm not a total fan of John Williams all the time. You know, I think sometimes if somebody said to me, you know, what's wrong with John Williams, I would point them to say, look, this is the kind of theme I don't like, and I would point them in the direction of E.T. And I would say that's why I don't like John Williams.
Or the Ewoks and the Return of the Jedi and stuff, or that kind of kind of family kind of crap. Yeah,
and
stuff that John Lennon would go nuts about.
Yeah, because as I say, but people, John Williams is fantastic, and just when you think, he's past it, he'll come up with Jewel of the Fates, or he'll come up with Catch Me If You Can. Or even the most recent Rey's theme from The Force Awakens, which is almost like a spaghetti western. It's like, this is brilliant, And in actual fact, I mean, he's won more BAFTAs for his music than John Barry.
Wow.
And so John Barry was only nominated for 3 BAFTAs in his lifetime. He only won one for The Lion in Winter. He didn't win one for Out of Africa. That was Morricone for The Mission, and he didn't win for Dances with Wolves. That was the Cyrano de Bergerac soundtrack.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big Morricone fan, and I think he's been hard done by. And I think to me, Once Upon a Time in America is one of the great scores.
Yes,
I think The Mission is a great score.
Yes, well,
and even Untouchables has got a great overture and stuff.
But John Williams in the Map Room, I think, I mean, when he's on fire, I think some people say, he just copies, say, Holst for Star Wars and stuff like that, and you can argue a little bit. I mean, you could argue definitely a lot.
Wagner kind of thing, for the Imperial March kind of thing.
Yes, and also if you've watched Warhorse, and you look at Warhorse and you think, I love those tunes. And it's like, do you know Vaughan Williams? That's basically just go out and get the soundtrack album of Vaughan Williams, and that's basically the Warhorse. Yeah,
I need to revisit that. I've only seen it once. I've picked it up from the charity shop for £1.
The Warhorse?
Yeah.
Well, it's, there's one, I won't say too much, but there's one scene with a windmill, and you think, that's classic Spielberg.
Just to go off in another direction, Warhorse was actually based on like a Broadway or stage play or something, was it? So
it was Michael what's his name? Michael. He was a kids author, and he wrote Warhorse, which then it became a stage play, which that was one of the first uses of, major puppetry. You know how you've got the people who are you've got the puppet, and then you've got the puppeteers actually on stage, and not necessarily all in black, and then that then became a film, which to some extent with its less successful, but it's almost like Black Beauty, so you've got this horse that goes from being recruited from the English countryside, and his journey from different owners through the First World War till it comes back again, which is all historically accurate. The horses that were used, thousands and thousands of horses lost their life.
Yeah, like the whole just even before that, Napoleonic warfare and all the cavalry charges, Crimean War, charge of Light Brigade. I mean, horses were just the death tolls is crazy, was it? So sad.
And then, of course, all the people had to be looked after and had to be shod, and the amount of blacksmith. That's the thing. Imagine going, you need major blacksmiths and saddle makers and going to war. Yeah. Anyway, the Map Room with John Williams' soundtrack. Yeah. Okay,
so he sticks his rod in the hole. Okay, and then he waits for the light. We missing anything?
No. Well, once again, you don't question. Well, where did he? All they know is the rod's the right. It's got like a brass tip, And once again, you don't question the fitting and all that sort of stuff.
Now, there's quite a lot of holes in the ground, but he's like fingering away at his holes and he finds the right one, so he's obviously using his expertise because it's got to be in the right one.
And I don't know whether or not is it in the Map Room or is it in Well of the Souls. People say there's a hieroglyph that's got R2D2 and C3PO, and some
probably
in one of the columns there's a little scene with all of these in jokes.
When they're probably doing these, obviously they didn't expect people to be watching this in high definition 40 years later. So
well, no, but not even that. Even when there was still kind of video, or either that, or people had found out, and just mentioned it, and people were like rewinding and pausing, and it's like, the pause on the video, it's all, the snowy.
Yeah, usually when you're getting a rental video from the video shop, that scene would be the campfire scene in The Howling or something. It would be all kind of screwed up at that particular moment in the film. I wonder why.
Well, I actually thought you meant the camp scene in Blazing Saddles. I thought that's what.
Oh, the
beans.
Okay. Yeah, that was I'm going off topic again. Yeah, I remember like my dad and just dying of laughter first time you seen that.
Yeah, the first time you see that, and but it's the sound effects and just the acting and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, Slim Pickens.
Slim Pickens, and then when he comes out,
the guy who rode a nuclear weapon in Doctor Strangelove,
and he was also he was in 1941.
Yeah,
you know, with
Oh, okay. Well, 1941. We're basically interspersed with the map scene. We cut to Marion, and she's kind of getting having a bit of a drink with Belloc.
Yes,
I know. Yeah. And she thinks he's coy. She hides a knife, and she tries to drink Belloc under the table with his own family label.
Yes.
But unfortunately, Thor suddenly appears behind. Now, there's a kind of little joke there where he takes out what looks like a deadly kind of nunchuck type thing.
Yeah, some sort of torture weapon.
And then he kind of makes it up into a coat hanger for his jacket. So I know. Now, you mentioned 1941.
Yeah.
Spielberg intended to put that joke in 1941.
Oh yeah, well I can see that if it's anything to do with the Christopher Lee character who's in like the Japanese sub. I wonder if it's something like that.
It was a scene in the sub, yeah.
All right, with Slim Pickens who's saying, what do you know?
Yeah, but similarly they didn't bother with it. They either didn't shoot it or they just didn't, or they cut it out because it just didn't work or something.
Well, see, that's the thing that 1941. There's so much information about that. One was originally that offered the Major John Wayne the part. When
would have been
when the Major is crying in the cinema, but John Wayne thought it was disrespectful to because I think in California there was a bit of a skirmish with the Japanese or some of on the Californian seaboard was bombed a little bit by Jap, and he thought you're making fun of it. And also a second one was, I think Spielberg wasn't confident enough because originally he wanted it to be actually almost like an old kind of musical. And there's that one scene which actually is probably one of the best scenes in the fight in the dance hall. And I think he wanted kind of more of that throughout the film. Although, once again, the theme, that 1941 theme, that's because it almost sounds like Police Academy, but it's not a Police Academy. But that was it. John Williams that did the theme again.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but maybe that's what Robert Folk stole for his Police Academy theme. So just side note, that was first major hiccup for the young Mr. Spielberg, 1941. But basically, just in terms of box office, I like 1941. Well, it hits and misses, but but
once again, because then you've got him almost like he's spoofing the start. They've got the same actress who was in Jaws, but this time it's like a submarine periscope, and then some of the models are fantastic. If you're interested in making film models or stuff like that 1941, that whole Ferris wheel. The John Belushi flying through the city, that's unbelievable.
The Ferris wheel scene, was that the guy on the Ferris wheel, that was Vaughn from
it's Murray thingy from
Hamilton.
Jaws.
Murray
Hamilton, and also the guy from
Eddie
Grease,
the nuddy guy.
Yeah,
Eddie Diesel or something. It's something like
apparently
something like that, son.
I think
he always plays like a nerd, sort of.
Yeah, and judging by all accounts, he was a pain.
Okay.
Because they were up in that thingy, and I don't know if he was like sometimes there's actors that that's great acting. You thought, no, that guy's not acting. That guy is like
this guy's a
chatterbox all the time.
Basically, you just let him out and do his thing, so I know.
Yeah.
So basically, Marion obviously gets caught by Thor. So back to the map room, and basically, was it the No, there's no snakes in the map room. That's in the Well of Souls.
No, because then he's asking for, Salah, pull me up, and then obviously by that time the German guy has pulled Salah away, and he's come back and he's no rope, but then he's got all these Nazi flags, and swastika flags to pull him up again.
So there's so basically they start digging further away, sort of. I know.
Yes, yeah.
And there's a good shot where it's kind of, I don't know, sunset or sunrise or something, but you just see the silhouettes on the ridge, sort of. I know, just digging away, sort of. I know, to get into the Well of Souls, and they open it up, and Salah goes, why is the floor moving?
He goes, that's a brilliant. Well, first he goes, whoa. Yeah,
and he gets scared because there's a statue staring at him, so I know.
And then he goes, asps, very dangerous. You go first. And then that's once again that famous line, snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Yeah. Now, so basically, he goes down, and obviously he has to shoo the snakes away with torches and fire and stuff. Yeah. But people always say you can see the glass kind of thing. But I don't think so.
No.
I've looked at this. I've watched it so many times. I think it's a great shot.
No, and even that famous shot when he's with the cobra, you can't see unless the only way you can see the shot is if you've turned down or turned up your monitor so much that there's a slight glimmer or something like that. But I certainly can't see any.
No, I mean, as long as you're watching the movie with your monitor calibrated at TMX levels and stuff, you're not going to see it. No,
you're not going to see it. For goodness sake.
I mean, Kubrick used glass in that scene in 2001 where the pen is moving about.
Yes, yeah.
They just had the pen stuck to a piece of glass and it started moving about.
Then a lot of that stuff...
It looks amazing.
A lot of the Kubrick stuff is amazing. That idea of, in 2001, just taking a photograph, of from the rock outcrop down. And it's that's effective. And I think when he was going to make his Napoleon film, he was going to do a lot of those films that was going to be photographic background. I suppose what they have, what's that word they have now? Is it the volume? They've got the screens, they make the Mandalorian in these, and if you put the right lighting and put sand down and you have the right landscape around that curved screen, you can't tell that was shot in a studio,
Yeah. I actually downloaded the Kubrick script for Napoleon.
Yes, yeah.
And read it. Yeah, it would have been quite interesting. It does start off with Napoleon as a kid. So.
But I think that's the problem with it, because I think he originally didn't he want
Jack Nicholson making notes, 2,000 extras here.
2,000 extras. but the problem that goes to show that you can be so fastidious that your time's been and gone. He's like that so many times that it's And by
that time, was it 1970, 71?
The Rod Steiger.
Waterloo. Was it Sergei Bundychuk or what his name is? I mean, that has to be one of the most epic battle scenes ever filmed. I mean, that must have been a logistical nightmare.
Well, once again,
I think there was tens of thousands of extras on that one.
And to this day, a lot of the historians will say, they'll rate it simply for just the scenes, because say the regiment, the battle formations, they say, that's brilliant, and you'll often see them used in actual documentaries, because the ridge, the way the soldiers are lined up are where it was on the battlefield. But I don't know where was that filmed. It wasn't filmed in Spain. It was filmed in Ukraine.
Russia. I think it was Russia or Ukraine or something. It was I don't know if it was Russian or Ukrainian army at the time or something. That they filmed it, but it was pretty. I mean, you got was it Dan O'Hurley? Is it? The Conal Cochrane from and he was also in RoboCop and stuff. Well, he plays Marshal Ney in Waterloo, so I know.
It's got Ian Ogilvy. See, once again, there's very few. I'm not saying big names, but then it's well, do you want to spend God knows how many months in in Russia or wherever it was?
Probably the cast in Steiger's Napoleon and Christopher Plummer is wearing. I mean, Christopher Plummer plays that part well. I mean, he's been doing it all his kind of
that's the
all
thing.
his life, so I know that kind of.
Well, that's the thing.
And he's Canadian as well.
He's Canadian. Like I say, I think there's very few films where he's actually playing a Canadian. I think Battle of Britain he's playing Canadian, and all the other times he's playing, or at least he sounds, English anyway.
Yeah. And to go even more off topic, Canadian Donald Sutherland. I was watching The Avengers again.
Oh yes,
and he was in an episode of The Avengers in the 60s, so I know. So
yeah.
obviously he was in Britain doing movies and stuff, and stuff at the time as well.
I think that's how he ended up getting in the Dirty Dozen, because he was he came over here and he was in like The Avengers. He was in Gideon, Gideon of the Yard, and then he was in Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, and then he was in, there was a film called, was it Joanna, and also Interlude, and then eventually he got into into Dirty Dozen, which then probably led to Kelly's Heroes, and then it led to
Oddball.
Oddball, which obviously must have struck a nerve at the time, because people will say he's just playing a 60s Vietnam soldier in the 1940s kind of film, but you don't question it. You think, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, well, we all liked Donald Sutherland, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Passed away not so long ago. Back to Raiders.
So the Well of the Souls. So he then they go to and they eventually put the poles and then get it up, and then Salah goes up and he says, right, okay, pull me up, and then that's when he goes, hello. That's when no, that shot when they come out of the tent is fantastic, because it's early in the morning and they're walking around, and then he stops and then sees, what's happening over there. And then that's when they...
I think it was Belloc was kind of criticising German something, whatever, I know.
Because obviously, she would have said...
You would use a sledgehammer to dig up stuff, kind of thing. So he sees this kind of, some sort of action going on in the horizon, and he kind of figures what's going on. So when Marion gets chucked down into the Well of Souls, I mean, I'm surprised she came out of that in one piece, because she hits that statue and she hits the deck, and
well, the deck's sand, but so basically she'd have a huge bruise from her side from being falling and then hitting off into the
And then there's a kind of comical scene where she's piggybacking on she's in that white dress, and she's doing a piggyback on Indiana Jones, trying to get away from the asps on the floor.
And obviously another kind of joke when they say, this whole place is slithering. They say, well, just put the torch wherever, and then he gets singed because she sees his whip.
Yeah, she mistakes his whip for a humongous snake.
Yeah, although, as I say, one of my best, one of my favourite lines is when Indiana Jones, when he sees the snakes coming through the holes in the wall, and says, "Where are you going?" He says, "Through that wall." Which is a brilliant line that smashes through the wall. And that, as a kid, this was probably after the opening of the Ark of the Covenant, this was probably the second scariest scene.
The dead bodies and stuff.
The dead bodies, but the snake coming through the dead body's mouth. I think there's three really scary ones. There's the snake coming through the dead body's mouth in the Well of the Souls, and the kind of semi mummies. There's Alfred Molina with the spears through his head at the start, and then obviously when they open the Ark of the Covenant and everybody's face melts or explodes. That's I would say the three major ones. I would say
some pretty gory bits in this kind of family movie.
And as I say, it's the sound of the punches and the next kind of scene that really is. It's almost. I mean, those things are scary, but you're almost wincing when they manage to smash through the wall and then see there's an opening, and they push the rock, which obviously kind of bounces a wee bit. But then as a kid watching it, I think, well, did nobody think to excavate, well, where does this little stone kind of building lead?
It's right next to the airport bits of, I know.
Yeah. So as I say,
but then maybe they did excavate it, but there was a wall in the way. That wall was the wall that Indiana Jones just demolished with a giant statue. So.
Well, that's the thing. So, like say, the Nazis then think, right, we're going to fly out the Ark of the Covenant on this flying wing, which was designed specifically for the film. It wasn't. So it was just the production designer drew this thing that kind of looked cool, but didn't exist. But it looks as if it could have existed. You know how near the end of the war.
The Nazis were coming up with all sorts of inventions and stuff.
They start the jet engine. You know, all these. The jet.
What was the missiles? Missiles they were firing over.
It was the V2. Sort of stuff. And then this is quite a brutal scene when I don't know if that is Pat Roach.
It is Pat Roach.
Because Pat Roach is in all three.
Yeah,
he's in. I think he's spotted. I don't know whether or not. You kind of blink and you miss him when he's in Last Crusade, but he's in Last Crusade as a kind of Nazi. But obviously he's got the big part in Temple of Doom as the beardy, Molar Arms kind of
thuggy, top thug of the thuggies.
Yeah, top thuggy. But that scene when they're trying to fly the Ark of the Covenant out, and then he gets picked on, and then it's when it's the sound of the punch and the kind of Pat Roach character, he's got the bloody nose and stuff, and that's and then he walks into the propeller blade. Oh.
So he seems like kind of happy to see that there's like some opponent just suddenly appears, and he says, "I'm going out there for a fight." So I know. so this is, he's got a big smile on his face. But
that once again, it's the action. It's like, well, how can you top that? Oh no, we've got a little bit of action, and it's interesting enough that you're not bored. You're not. Oh yeah, we've seen this before. No, haven't. Okay, there was a bar fight, but that was more of a firefight in the winter. This is a different kind of fight, climbing up on the plane.
So we get this punch up that goes on for quite a bit, while Marion is causing havoc in the plane. So I don't.
Because she's knocked the pilot unconscious, but then she's been locked in the cabin, and then the plane wings knocking off the fuel, which then there's a fire. So it looks.
And unfortunately, big baldy Nazi guy, he gets propelled or something.
Yes, yeah.
So we don't see anything, but we don't have to see anything. Assumption is enough.
There's a spray of something on something. Yeah.
But I mean, it's still we kind of knew it was getting there. So I know, but it's still quite shocking when it happens. So basically, they find out that the Ark of the Covenant was that plane just a diversion or something, because we found out that the Ark of the Covenant was getting shipped in a truck someplace. Oh right, yes. So maybe was that a diversional tactics or something like that?
Yeah, and unless it was Well, see that once again. It's like in years later, people are saying, "Well, actually, in fact, the Nazis would have gotten the Ark of the Covenant anyway without Indiana Jones, because they knew where it was. They could just get it, And I think somebody said, "Did Indiana Jones actually achieve anything?" Because he's like, "Well, wait a minute."
Yeah, by the end of the movie, they got what they wanted anyway. He just kind of maybe just like was a little bit of a pain in the ass for them. So I know, but so basically, this is one of my favourite action set pieces. This whole chase scene where
it's fantastic.
Where he rides off after them on a horse. There's a whole scene where he goes through this crowd of people, and it's like something like the Lone Ranger kind of thing. So I know, but some of the horse stunts here going down that hill that's quite dangerous.
Once again, John Williams again, fantastic. I know that when he was coming up with a suggestion for ideas for the Indiana Jones theme, in actual fact he had two themes, and they ended up combining both themes into the main theme. So you got that was one theme, and then the kind of middle bit was going to be another theme, and we thought, well, we'll just combine it into just one big theme.
Yeah,
but no, that chase is brilliant. And once again, it's bloody and it stings, and it's like
and and unlike the kind of chase scene on the tank at the end of the Last Crusade, I mean, this was done old school practical effects. Apart from one scene where the truck goes off the cliff. That's the only part that everything else looks spot on.
Which then, after George Lucas did tweaked the Star Wars, they went back and tweaked the 3 Indiana Joneses.
Oh,
so
fuck.
So what they tweaked is they did more of a computer generated. You know, when the truck goes off the precipice, so that looks. You know, and they kind of tweaked some of the scenes in Temple of Doom with the molar arm falling into the. You know,
the bit where Indy's goes out the hole in the rock face and the water comes zooming out.
Yeah,
and that looks kind of fake, does it? That looks really very fake. So,
but that's I think that's the only thing I remember watching. Did they get the DVD? Yeah, when they brought the 3 DVDs out and it had been slightly tweaked, and the only tweak in Raiders was they did more of a computer generated. You know, when he nudges the Jeep off the cliff, you know, and then you hear the scream, the famous.
But not like was it at the end of Last Crusade where the tank thing goes over and you see the guy go,
and then but doesn't it explode? Because of course, if it's a tank's not going to explode, it just goes donk. You know, that's it.
It's not like a movie from the 1970s where you touch a car and it explodes kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I know they talk about you know, when you look at Last Crusade, when you look at Temple of Doom, and it looks like somebody just put a weight on that model of the life the lifeboat, and it just you can see it like floating down and stuff.
Yeah, that hasn't aged well.
But I know that they say it's supposed to be like a 1930s. Drama, but the only one I'm not so keen on is in Last Crusade when he gets the birds, and you can quite obviously see it's like a little model. You know, when the propeller stops and all the feathers, and it's like, no, that's just somebody's went like this, and it's like somebody's went like this, spun the propeller, you know, put some feathers in front of it, and because you can't. There's certain things you can scale up, and certain things you can scale down, and other times it just doesn't look right, you know.
Yeah, one of my pet peeves scenes in Last Crusade is when in the Zeppelin.
When he's shaking
he's shaking, and it's like didn't he need to even put that scene in there?
No,
it'd be better just taking it out full stop. To be honest.
Well, you know what? There's 2 little things in the Zeppelin scene. One when he's thrown out, and they've made those luggage, suitcases. It's quite obviously they've just kind of painted brown boxes, when he lands. And the second one is when Sean Connery, Henry Jones Sr., when he shoots the tail off the kind of plane that they're on. In the studio, it's all shattered, but then when you see it on the location filming, obviously you can't have it. It wouldn't be able to fly, so it's less damaged, and it's that's.
Yeah. No. Well, sorry, son. I think we've been hit. Sabotaging his own plane. So we've got this great chase scene. He commandeers one of the trucks, and then he starts like hitting that fancy open top Mercedes that Belloc and all the top Nazis are in. But then there's this guy. I mean, he goes through like a lot of Nazis, but I want to go. There's the last guy. That guy looks like Paul Hogan. Once again, I'd like to find out whether it was intended because he's on the roof of the truck with his hat, and the hat blows off, and I don't know when he looks as if should that have happened, and then he comes and shoots Indy in the arm, and then keeps repeatedly punching him in the arm, and then throws him out of the truck. And I think that was one of the scenes that was in the trailer as well. When he's in the truck and he's holding onto the bars. Yeah, and he's bending. And he's bending. And then, thankfully, he's got his whip. And then, because I remember the making of Raiders because everybody showed there was that, was it Stagecoach or one of the Indian films? One of the famous to go underneath, stunts. To go underneath the wagon. Stunts to go underneath the Stagecoach kind of wagon. And then, obviously, they had to build a trench, and then obviously I know was it Vic Armstrong who was in like reinforced. So was Paul Hogan Vic Armstrong then? Was it that guy?
No.
Does he look like Paul Hogan? Who's that guy?
He did look. But no. Vic Armstrong. He was doing James Bond as well. So have you ever seen Vic Armstrong?
But did he die quite young or something? Vic Armstrong.
No, I think he's still alive. He had dark.
Who was the one that died? No, that was Dar somebody. The guy who was in Lethal Weapon. At the end of Lethal Weapon, it was like Dar Robinson or something. It was like the top American stunt guy or something. But I'm getting mixed up. Yeah. So basically, so we get this great chase scene, and what happens? Basically, what happens after that? Basically, he loses the Ark or something. Isn't he? No, he got it. He got the Ark, and then they go to Katanga's ship.
He goes to Katanga's ship, which once again, that's the stories of tiny cameo act. You would like to have a whole film just about Katanga. The way that the actor wears the cap, and he's got that woolen Aaron kind of jumper, and it's that would be. I wouldn't be comfortable with that thing. I wouldn't like wearing these. Well, but then I don't know where the film was. The doc was filmed. I don't think it was filmed in obviously kind of Cairo.
Okay.
Because famous trivia that the U-boat they use was was I think that was even before Das Boot. It was the Das Boot, and they said, we've got this. So that Indiana Jones used it before not Wim Wenders, Wolfgang Peterson.
Yeah. So basically they're on it. So they're thinking they're home and dry.
Yes.
They get on a ship.
They get on a ship, and once again, a brilliant scene as well, where Indy is bruised and battered.
the mirror scene,
and the mirror scene where
it sounds painful. So I know
it sounds painful. I say, well, where's it sore here? I say, well, where isn't it sore?
Mm-hmm.
And I say it gives you time to a bit of a breathe. And you think, great, a breather, and you think, great. As I say, they're home and dry, and then no.
By the time he wakes up, there's a Nazi U-boat just off.
There's a Nazi U-boat, and as I say, Captain Katanga.
He didn't give him much notice, did he? Because they were already on the ship by the time.
And the way it's played is brilliant. When he says, "No, leave us the woman."
So obviously Belloc wants the woman. So I know he's got his eyes on the woman.
But then we forget that the Ark is in the hold. And then for some reason, it's the power that seems to affect. I don't know whether the rat is killed or it affects the rat and starts to burn through the casing of the wood. But there's this idea that no, this is powerful. There's something in here.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of kind of more foreshadowing about the power of the Ark. This isn't just some religious relic that's probably fake. This looks like it could be something powerful, something beyond. Human kind of knowledge and stuff, So basically, it's just a little scene. Just you see, like the wooden crate, kind of burning. Maybe it's just burning off the Nazi sign or something because it's Jewish.
I think there was some of that as well. But once again, it'd be interesting to read. If you get the script to say, well, what actually does it, say in the script? And sometimes it's like. You can be watching a film, 40, 50-year-old, 60-year-old script and not get the meaning, and then you find a script to say, that's what was supposed to mean. I wouldn't have got that from watching the film.
Now, we're coming up to, so basically they take Marion and they take the Ark and they load up on the U-boat.
Yes,
and this is like, this has to be one of the great holes in the plot.
Yes.
Yeah. How the fuck did he stay on the? I mean, did the U-boat just not submerge?
I think that's what you're supposed to believe, Gary. I think because obviously that's he says where's where's Dr. Jones? He's there, Captain, and that's another rousing speech. And you see him, and that's the only thing I can think of. I think it didn't submerge. It's there, and then the island is so close. And I think maybe when they show the island on the map, I think there's the idea that it didn't submerge.
Well, this is
it's 1936, so there's no
need
to
before war. So they're not at war with anybody, so they don't have to submerge or anything.
Yeah, And and I think that's probably the.
I was like, wondering how the fuck did he get into the submarine or something? Did he just go into the inner chamber, because you
can, technically, if you got the chamber, you could, because there's a gap between
bit.
Yeah, there's the space between the chamber, which sometimes fills with water in order to thing it, or empties with water.
That would be a bit scary, would it? So
yeah.
But obviously what happens if the thing did submerge? You'd be fucked.
But once again, you buy into it. You see him, Indiana Jones, looking around, so you thought he's coming up with an idea, and you don't question it. The next time he's wet, so obviously he's jumped off and he's swam, and then typical Spielberg, the idea of hitting somebody, getting the uniform, it's too tight, and then somebody says, "Hey, button up," and then he just punches them.
Obviously, when you see that the second guy, he's like the same height, and you say, "Oh, good, okay," and then knock him out and take his uniform. And then there's a little scene where he passes Belloc, and he kind of shoulders him as he goes past him.
He just walks past.
Yeah, so basically, so they're on this island, in the Mediterranean.
Well, now funnily enough, you've said that. You must assume it has to be some sort of Greek, because if they've come from Cairo, so there must be I think it is kind of not Crete or someplace. It must because if you've come from
maybe towards that area, there's a lot of islands there off Greece and Crete and Turkey and all that kind of area.
That's exactly what they must have come up from. Once again, we're talking about this.
They had a map, but we didn't go to specifics in the map.
And you look at the rock and you think that kind of I'm not saying it looks like Malta, but that kind of has to be that kind of area. So they've come from Cairo, and then they've gone into the Med. Did they shoot in Malta? Because they shoot a lot of movies in Malta, did they? No. I think they probably filmed a lot
in that Jordan, the Middle East and stuff.
It'd be interesting to check the locations again, because that has to be where
let's have a look then. Keep talking while I have a search.
Right.
Then.
So obviously they then are taking once again you don't question that. They're taking it to a ceremonial place in an island, but you don't have to be told, oh, by the way, we're doing this in case it blows up. They're doing it to test that it's safe before they take it to the Führer. So as I say, they're walking up the mountain or on the path, and then that's when Indiana Jones has the.
And I'll stop you. I'll stop you there because I have a soundbite.
Jones? Jones!
I'm gonna blow up the Ark, Renee!
Your persistence surprises even me. You're gonna give mercenaries a bad name.
Dr. Jones? Surely you don't think you can escape from this island?
It depends on how reasonable we're all willing to be. All I want is the girl.
If we refuse?
Then your Führer has no prize.
Okay, stand back. Oliver, stand back. Sit back. Okay, Jones. You win. Blow it up.
Zurück!
Zurück! Zurück! Yes, blow it up! Blow it back to God. All your life has been spent in pursuit of archaeological relics. Inside the Ark are treasures beyond your wildest aspirations. You want to see it open as well as I. Indiana, we are simply passing through history. This is history.
Yeah. So, what do you think of The Fly?
See, once again, I think I'm sure any time that Paul Freeman, I don't know if when he was in the set of Hot Fuzz, whether they asked him about, did you really swallow that fly, or but yeah, because obviously there's a fly goes in his mouth, whether he swallowed it or whether it flew back out or just got stuck. I've no idea. But once again, we're still talking about it. I mean, there's films where little things happen and they're never mentioned ever again, and other times there's things that are analysed and repeated over and over and over again.
Just on that sound clip, listening to it with headphones, you can hear the fly buzzing, or you can hear something buzzing in the headphones. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. So we just picked up film locations. It was Tunisia was used for the canyon scenes and the map room and the Ark. And then there was Cairo, I can't pronounce that, was served as the city of Cairo.
For the bustling market scenes.
Tozeur, the Tanis dig sites in the desert region. Hawaii for some of the jungle seasons at the start of the movie, South American scenes, and the seaplane escape. And obviously California for the American scenes. France was the site of the World War II submarine base.
Yes, yeah.
And obviously the LSD Studios for the interior stuff and whatever. So basically Tunisia.
Yeah.
So that's for people that are not good at geography. It's North Africa, by the way. Okay. So basically this Indy, obviously he wants to see the prize opened up as well.
Yeah, he wants to see it as well. You know.
So he gives up his bazooka and he gets captured. So there you go. Job done. But, and this is the climax now. So
this is the climax, and the music, and just you think, like I say, even if you didn't know what was coming, you would sense through the music. You think, perhaps if I'm younger, maybe turn my face away or put my hands in front of my face, because it's like, you know.
Now this scene where you see them all tied up, and you see like there's an altar and Berlocks all made up in this ancient Jewish garb.
Yes,
which must have pissed off the Nazis, to be honest.
That's exactly what the actor Wolf
Kahler.
Yes, because he says he feels uneasy with
Wolf Kahler.
Yeah. He says he feels uneasy with all these kind of Jewish symbols and stuff like that. It's like, well, you know.
And so I'm pretty sure this whole scene was a set studio.
Studio. It's definitely set. And as I say, it's the music, and then it's the special effects. I don't know if it was puppets through water, and then a bit of actors, and a wind machine, to then it's been filtered through something, because then you see the beautiful. He goes, "It's beautiful," because he opens. It's just dust or just sand, and then the smoke starts to come out, and these beautiful women. But then the beautiful women turn into, I don't know, demons, and then all hell literally breaks loose. And then that's obviously in the scene when it was the mystic guy. He would say, "Look, close your eyes because they'll pass." But then you just assume that Indy knows his history, so he would just say, "No, keep your eyes shut. Whatever you do." I'm
surprised both of them kept the eyes shut.
Well, that's it. A wee peek. That's it. Yeah. And then it's that. The score, and then typical Spielberg is just when the lid comes down, and then you just hear that crack and that silence. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and then they go after that. We're back in America,
back in Washington for the debrief, because obviously they managed to once again. You don't give it in second thought to say, well, how did they get off the island? It's
the same character actor, that podgy fat bastard. But he was in Star Wars.
Yeah, no, he was Porkins. Yeah, which you think maybe that's a wee bit too on the nose. I mean, you could have called him anything. Why call him
just fat bastard?
Why call him that? Yeah.
And he was also later on. He plays Captain Eckhart in Batman.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because I think both those actors, whether they're Canadian or Americans, are the ones who.
They're obviously UK bound, so they play American actors in the UK. So
UK based, a bit like when Thingy lived over here, John Ratzenberger, and that's how John Ratzenberger ended up in Return of the Jedi. No, Empire Strikes Back. He's one of the Hoth commanders, because I think a lot of times, also in Star Wars, there's a lot of Canadian actors who came over here. And then found work here. Well, I can play an American, so I'm just going to. Yeah.
There's a lot of these actors, like let's say North American actors, because we don't know if they're Canadian or American.
Yeah, Sean, one of the most famous ones who voiced Thunderbirds. He was in James Bond about twice. Oh, what's his name? Sean. Oh,
Connery.
Is it? Oh, what's his name? He was in. He was in Spy. He was the commander of the other submarine.
I think I know who you mean. I can see his face.
And he was one of the voices on. He was one of the voices in Thunderbirds, and I think he was in You Only Live Twice, Diamonds Are Forever, and the major part in The Spy Who Loved Me. Yeah, you know, he was taking Bond on the submarine to the Stromberg Palace.
Okay.
Oh, what's his name? Oh, Sean somebody anyway.
I mean, like in James Cameron Aliens, which was shot in England.
Yeah.
A lot of these actors at the time, like Mark Rolston,
Yes,
the guy that plays Frost, the black guy. I mean, he was also in Death Wish 3, preceding that with Michael Winner.
Yeah.
A lot of these actors, even Jeanette Goldstein and stuff, a lot of them were based in the UK at that time. That's why they got casted. Yeah,
for whatever reason, whether it was to do with theatre or whether it was to do with something, that they wound up here, and then there was open castings, and you think, well, looking for Americans. Well,
there was there's one actor. I've only just obviously I just thought he was an American actor. But then I realised, because the most shit movies I watched, he was in a lot of these low budget B movies made by Britain, and this actor was William Sylvester.
Oh yes, yeah.
He was in 2001.
Yes,
he plays Haywood or something.
He was.
But he was in so many. He must have lived in the UK for like 20 years or something.
I think. He was. Was he Canadian? Yeah, he was Canadian, I think.
Yeah, I think he went back to North America. I think he died in California.
Yeah,
but he. I mean, he was in loads of these B movies made in the UK and stuff. Yeah. I think he was in that one with a giant. What was it called? Keep talking while I have a look, so I know, because I want to, because it's quite funny.
Well, obviously, as at the end, you think, right, everybody's getting, paid, and everybody's getting, and it's the final stumbling block is, well, where is the Ark of the Covenant? It needs to be studied. It needs to be put in a museum. It needs to, and it's like, well, no, it's top men are looking after it, and then Gorgo.
That's what I was watching. It's got basically they unearth like a dinosaur monster like Godzilla.
Yes,
off the coast of Ireland.
Yeah,
it's just.
You know who you were talking about, Gary? You know when he goes to the debrief, William Sylvester in 2001.
Yeah,
the guy who precedes him. Mm-hmm. He's a Canadian actor. I was thinking it was that actor because he's been in loads of stuff as well. Yeah,
and the guy, you remember I'm going back, Fawlty Towers, the Waldorf salad guy.
Yes.
He was another American actor. And he had a small part as a general in
Superman.
He was in Full Metal Jacket as a general as well.
Yeah.
But and he was also in The Omen. So every time you need so if you're in the UK, you need an American or North American actor, you just pull this guy out of the woodwork. So I know. So you want about the top men. We've got to the end of the film. So the last thing we've kind of really done an in-depth podcast for this movie. Okay, so that's the end of Raiders. You got any final notes?
Well, obviously Raiders came out, and then just like the Bond films, people went kind of treasure hunting, tomb raiding, crazy with shows and stuff like that. So what happened after Raiders? You had shows like Bring 'Em Back Alive, which was a TV show that was
is that Bruce Boxing Light or something?
And Cindy Morgan, who then
Cindy Morgan,
who then eventually she
just died a few years ago.
Who then, I don't know whether it was through that program, they eventually got cast in Tron together.
Yeah, Cindy. For those who don't know, Cindy Morgan was a beautiful woman, and if you want to see her, check out Caddyshack.
Oh yes, Caddyshack. So you had all these, obviously, kind of rip-off, or somebody call them Indiana clones. So you've got Tales of the Golden Monkey. So that comes out in 1982, and that actually is a sweet spot. That is 1938, because a lot of these other clones don't want to touch the 30s, so they have to be earlier, like King Solomon's Mines with Richard Chamberlain and Alan Quatermain in The Lost City of Gold, that had funnily enough, Jerry Goldsmith did the soundtrack to it, but Sharon Stone had her acting film debut, although judging by accounts, Kathleen Turner was offered about $1.5 million to appear in it, but she said no, because it's too close to another one, which was Romancing the Stone.
So Tales of the Golden Monkey Only ran for one season.
Only ran for one season, and it was crazy because I'd watched and loved Raiders, and then all of a sudden this thing, which almost felt like it was a spoof of Raiders, comes on, and it's so close because you had Ron Moody, who played like the French actor, who then Roddy McDowall replaced him in the series. You know, so you've got Bring 'Em Back Alive, which was kind of set in the 30s in the kind of Far East. It was like zoos, and then you've got Tales of the Gold Monkey, and then you have something like The High Road to China from 1983, which Tom Selleck and Bess Armstrong, which it was called Raiders of the End of the World, which I think some people thought that was maybe his consolation prize for missing out on Raiders. But John Barry does the soundtrack.
I remember that movie years and years ago. I thought it was a bit of a lackluster version of Raiders.
Well, that's the thing. And then you've got was it Antonio Margaretti and the Italian spoofs, not spoofs. You've got like
the Italians just basically any hit movie from America, they'll do like a million versions of it.
Well. If I read you these titles,
I've probably seen them. So read them out.
Well, if I read you these titles, I wonder what film they're trying to cash in on. So you've got The Hunters of the Golden Cobra. You've got Jungle Raiders, and you've got The Ark of the Sun God. Now, what film could they be possibly?
I was watching Ark of the Sun God not so long ago.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. Yeah, it's.
But the thing about was it because King Solomon's Mines and Alan Quatermain and The Lost City of Gold, they were filmed back to back.
Yeah, and the story is the first one. King Solomon's Mines. I mean, it was a pretty okay budget and something good.
Henry Herbert Lom
but then the second one looked like they only used half the budget. I think Canon did what Canon does, basically. Instead of making one decent movie, a really decent movie, they made one movie and they skimped on it and they tried to make a sequel with the leftovers kind of thing.
That's exactly, because that was kind of came out in 85 and then Lost City of Gold came out in 86, 87. But it's weird because if you look at the trailer for the Alan Quatermain and the Lost City of Gold, it looks as if they've just seen a Temple of Doom and they've created this mine. But the scenes, there's almost like a copy of the mine cart chase in Temple of Doom, but it's like an aerial cart, which doesn't even appear in the film.
No,
it appears in the trailer, and you think, oh right, you know, because I remember going and see the Jewel in the Nile and seeing the trailer for could it have been King Solomon's Mines? I thought, oh, I think I've picked the wrong film. But yeah, I don't know. Of course, you've got Firewalker with Chuck Norris and Lou
Gossett Jr.
Lou Gossett Jr.
Now, at the time, I was really into Chuck Norris action videos, you know, like Missing in Action, Invasion USA, even Code of Silence. That was an early, Andrew Davis, who later on did The Fugitive and stuff. That was an early, and that was I believe that was remember Dennis Farina, who always plays like an Italian or a cop or something, crime story. That was one of his first movies, but he was an actual cop.
Yeah,
he was a cop for like 17 years or something before he took up acting.
Yeah, as you say, the Police Story, that TV series, that was a brilliant one.
Yeah, so I was kind of big into, and this is the time. Okay, remember the cinema in the Seagate in Dundee.
Yes.
That's at that time Canon took over that.
Yeah, because it went to ABC and then it became a Canon, and then in
the UK, no Chuck Norris movie in our area would ever get a cinema showing until Canon bought the cinemas, and then suddenly they've got Firewalker. And I went to cinema thinking it was going to be great, and I was so disappointed, I tell you.
Well, that's the thing about the cash-ins of the Bond films of the 60s. You know what I think maybe one of the best things that could have ever happened to the rip-off merchants is Thunderball, because then they thought, well, we don't have to build sets. All we have to do is find a beach. So you'll see some Bond rip-offs in the 60s and 70s are just probably set in, Tenerife, or, you've got a beach and then you've got a boat and we can have this. But the thing about the kind of the Indiana Jones stuff is it's usually going to be a period piece, and you're going to have some form of temple or some form of booby trap, which is going to be expensive. So you've got the two camps that say, right, do we do a period piece? So we're not going to touch the 30s. So is it going to be like Brendan thingies, like The Mummy, which is set in the 20s?
Brendan Fraser. Sorry, Brendan Fraser.
Which is like around about the same time as Tutankhamun. Or do you do like High Road to China, which is kind of almost set around the 20s, kind of First World War? You know, or do you set it kind of modern, which like say Firewalker or Romance in the Stone or Jewel of the Nile? And there's pluses and minuses with all that. But apparently, the High Road to China was a book before. You know, I think that's what happens. I think people try to defend cashing in to say, but this was a book before Indiana Jones. I think the same thing with Romance in the Stone was a book before Raiders of the Lost Ark and all this sort of stuff. I don't know where you stand on whether you prefer, you know, a modern set like Romance in the Stone, or do you prefer a period piece, you know, kind of Tomb Raider?
Yeah, I'm more into history, so I like to go back in time. I always thought, like, if I had a time machine, I would rather go back in time than go in the future.
Yes, yeah.
Because I've seen Idiocracy, and there's nothing much going on in the future.
No, it's true.
Okay. So, anything else?
I'm just thinking about.
So there's a Tales of the Golden Monkey or Gold Monkey. Stephen Collins was the guy. Now he was in the original Star Wars, the motion picture.
He was in there, and obviously he's fallen out of favour. Well, not fallen out of favour.
Something happened with him, didn't it? So I know something happened with him.
Yes, yeah, he's it was
blacklisted.
It was blacklisted for
something
for something, but it was in the past with kind of minors.
Okay.
So he's been, in actual fact, he was still.
You think he's in the Epstein files?
Well, the thing is, he hasn't been. I think was it a court case? But no, he didn't serve any time. He's just like not. I don't mean not proven, but you know. So if you read into. He was also. I remember he had a small part in All the President's Men. He plays like a young. Congressman or something. He is a small part, and then he was in Brewster's Millions, wasn't he? With Richard Pryor.
Yeah,
I meant to say that Ronald Lacey, he had an uncredited cameo in The Last Crusade as Himmler.
I put Ron, it comes up Ronald Lacey.
Yeah,
at the top there.
Yeah. So obviously it was
amazing.
like
Google is like read your mind.
But it's one of those ones where I think you'd have to freeze. It'll be freeze frame when Indy's at one of the Munich rallies.
Red Sonja.
Yeah, Red Sonja. Oh, yeah, he's the president in the Buckaroo.
Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. If you haven't seen that, that's you want a quintessential 80s action sci-fi nonsense. That's definitely one. Firefox.
Yeah,
looks like he plays a Russian or something in that.
Yeah. And of course, Red. It's amazing that some people say, "Oh, I don't want to be typecast," but you do want to be typecast in some way, because then if we want a horrible, slimy person, then you'll never be out of work, because they always want you to play the same character.
Yeah, he was
Flesh and Blood.
Flesh and Blood. He plays the priest guy or something in Flesh and Blood. That I love Flesh and Blood. I mean, that you want an accurate portrayal of medieval shit. Flesh and Blood is the film to go to.
But then sometimes people can be sold on the poster, and you think it's going to be too clean, and it's like when you see a lot of those posters, say like the Firewalker, you think you remember the poster more than the film. You think I want to see that. I want to see the film in the poster, not the film that's on the screen.
Well, if you're going by the video case covers in the 80s, you're going to be hard pressed to get the film you want, because most of the movies that had the best covers are the shittiest of movies. So.
Yes, well, that's the thing. And I remember my dad. He had a friend who was at a video shop, and he gave us an extended loan of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but it was in the black film before sell-through videos, and the whole video was what you'd now class as a sell-through video. It was the black cover of Indiana Jones with the whip, and the interesting thing about that is when you played it, it said Indiana Jones filming the new film. I think it was Indiana Jones the Temple of Doom, and it cut to that scene, a tiny scene in in Raiders, when he goes into the bar in Marion's bar, and he goes, "Trust me," that kind of thing. It says, now filming round the world, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and that was added onto the video
teaser thing,
like on the teaser. And I was
Look at this. Back to Flesh and Blood. Look at this cast here. We've got Rutger Hauer, we've got Jennifer Jason Leigh,
Jack Thompson,
Ronald Lacey, Brian James.
Oh, yes.
We're on about like favourite bad guy actors. Okay.
Brian James.
Bruno Kirby from
yes.
City Slickers. Susan Tyrrell. She's a nutcase. You ever see Susan Tyrrell? She's an absolute nut.
Well, I'd say, Brian James, as I say, one of the great Barrys, but one of the terrible accents in Tango and Cash.
Nancy Cartwright's in it.
Yeah.
Nancy Cartwright, who does the voice for Bart Simpson, is it?
Bart Simpson. I think that seems to be the thing that... Oh, wait a minute. Look. Is that Little John's played by Jake Wood from EastEnders?
Is that... Oh, yeah. Okay, look, it is.
Once again, it's these things filmed in the UK, and you have interesting people turn
known
up.
For EastEnders. It's like when I was watching Kingdom of Heaven,
yes.
Ridley Scott's Crusade epic. Spider from Coronation Street's in it. I went, remember, that's Spider from Coronation Street.
Well, it's like in Flash Gordon and Peter Duncan from Duncan Dares and Blue Peter. He's one of the ones that has to put his hand in the log, and he gets bitten.
Yeah, what was that? Like in American Mail from London, the doctor, Woodvine or something. Was it something Woodvine? The guy plays the doctor in American Mail from London. What about American... David Woodvine or something? Let me just have a look.
Oh, that John Woodvine.
John Woodvine.
He only died recently.
Yeah, Jesus. He was almost 100.
Yeah, almost 100.
But he was, I remember, he was in some children's TV show or something at the time when I was watching on TV. It was like some futuristic kind of Blake Seven with no budget. Blake Seven had no budget, but this had less budget. And he was in it. And I went, that's the guy from that thing I was watching at the time. So I know, but he was in...
Of course, you look at the actor who played, was it Mr. Bronson from Grange Hill? And I
was going to say that. He played Adolf Hitler in The Last Crusade.
He played Adolf Hitler, and also he was in Empire Strikes Back. And so he only passed away, 2025.
What was the show he was in? Because I was watching it on TV at the time.
It sounds like it was an ITV thing, and ITV had a high turnover of programmes. So of what year would it be?
Well, probably like 1980, 81 or something like that. It was like some...
it's not... No, Edge of Darkness was 80 thingy.
The Edge of Darkness, that was the show that originally had Michael Kamen and Eric Clapton come together to do the score.
Yeah, and then it was...
And then they used that pretty much that partnership to do the Lethal Weapon movies and stuff. And basically after that, Michael Kamen did the score to practically every Joel Silver movie, did he?
But that's the thing about what he does well, but unfortunately a lot of his soundtracks all sound like Lethal Weapon. Like License to Kill sounds like Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, but you've got to admit, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, the overture for that is fucking brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, was it Morgan Creek used that as a signature tune for the intro?
But my only problem is the cinematography of Robin Hood Prince of Thieves just looks washed out. You want it bright and warm and,
Yeah.
Unless it was, Well, it could have been Doctor Who. You sure it could have been Doctor Who?
Getting confused. Yeah. He had a good innings, as to say.
He had a good innings.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Ian, for another evening of chatting about movies we love. And we'll need to come up with another movie to do next time. We don't know yet, so we'll ponder it over the next week or two. Okay, glad to talk to you, and goodbye.